You're watching Chelsea and Tony live. That means it's Thursday and it's 4 o'clock. And today we're going to be talking about the Panasonic S1H. We weren't initially going to cover this camera, but then our friend Jordan loved it, so we had to check it out. And then you ended up not loving it.
Yeah, I would solidly hate it, and Jordan would absolutely love it, and we'll talk about why that is.
So today we're going to be reviewing your landscape photos as well. If you have not already submitted one, you can do that now at sdp.io/submit. Next week, we're going to be reviewing your adventure photography. So get ready to have an adventure, okay? You need to have an adventure. Pressure. And also, this show is sponsored by us. We're having our back to school sale, 30% of everything in our store. We have shirts, we have Lightroom presets, we have the #1 photography book on Amazon, Stunning Digital Photography. If you use the coupon code LEARN30, you can get that 30% off. And the link to our store is down below. It's buying directly from us. Boo, yeah.
Okay, while people are sending their photos in, let's talk about the Panasonic S1H. Panasonic initially announced this in June, but we're now getting full specs, and we're starting to see the first hands-on reviews of it. It's a $4,000 camera, which is a lot. It's 24 megapixels, and it's entirely video-centric. I don't think anybody would ever buy this for stills because at that price point, there are just much better options. But for a video camera, for serious filmmakers and cinematographers, it's definitely the best value at $4,000. To be able to get that full frame look with all your full frame lenses, that beautiful amounts of background blur and fantastic low light capabilities. People ask, why not get a real video camera? And the answer is a real full frame video camera would cost well into the 5 figures, or you might even be spending more like 6 figures. So this really bats out of its league. It's meant to compete with RED cameras and stuff. It has this kind of novel tilt and flippy screen where it'll tilt up and down, but also flip to the side and flip forward.
Oh,
so I'm really glad to see a forward flippy screen back on Panasonic cameras. That was something we loved about the GH4 and 5.
They took that flippy screen to the next level.
Yeah, and the downside is it's absolutely massive. It is really, really thick and bulky. But at the same time, the problems with the side flip screens are if you just want to tilt it up or down for landscapes or something, you have to flip it all the way to the side first, which is kind of this extra thing. The video tools on are just really, really deep. So you can do things like look at scopes and waveforms. It has sensor stabilization. Some of the downsides as a video camera are the focus tracking, tracking moving subjects moving in and out is kind of not useful. Jordan demonstrated trying to use it to track faces, and it didn't work at all. And that's something that we've become completely addicted to on our Canon and even our Sony cameras, but mostly we shoot with a Canon camera. We can make our videos dynamic now. I can move in and out, and it will just track me with nice shallow depth of field, and you just couldn't do that. So for us, it doesn't meet our requirements. Also, if you actually take advantage of the 6K video capabilities, it will fire up an internal fan that it has that is loud enough that it would wreck any sort of sound near the camera, like on-camera sound or something mounted to the camera. So you have to have your mic far away from the camera. It has V-Log for deep, deep dynamic range recording video. It'll do 10 bits, so that V-Log will actually be nice and smooth and not become all chunky, which was a problem we always had on the GH5. It'll even be able to record external RAW to an Atomos external recorder over HDMI, not internal, and that they're working on that still. And something I thought was really cool is it has dual ISO like a lot of cameras do now, where basically there's 2 physical ISO settings and everything else is just kind of made up, but it actually lets you manually pick between those 2 dual ISOs instead of just inferring it from your ISO setting. So I like that idea. I wish all cameras would do that. You can shoot video at either full frame in Super 35 or 1:1. There are a couple of tricks to this, though. The advertised 6K is only at 24p, and it's not at 16:9. It's at 3:2, which is really weird. And so you could use that if you wanted to crop in post and maybe pan up or down, but it wouldn't let you pan to the sides much. So in other words, it doesn't really have 6K in a useful way, but it will do 5.9K at 30 frames per second and 16.9. So that's more what would probably be useful. It'll also do 4K 60, but only in Super 35. So there's a heavy crop, like a 1.5 times crop with 4K 60. And I'm still kind of waiting for this mythical full frame 4K 60 camera. I wish they would just make a lower resolution version. It'll do super slow-mo at 180 frames per second too. So should you buy it if you're looking at like RED cameras for video, if you're that serious, then it's definitely something you should consider because it's very inexpensive. But if you're like us and you're just looking for an effective vlogging camera, it would be really a poor choice probably. You should be focused on manual focus if you're going to be using this, and probably be thinking about adapting cinema lenses because the lens selection is pretty limited. But if you want to check it out, you can check it out at sdp.io/S1H. And I want to tell you to check out Jordan's awesome, heart-wrenching video film. I'll call it a film. He shoots at 24 frames per second, so that basically makes it a film. So use that link. Let's take a look at some landscape photos. Here's the first from Dudley Rose.
This is beautiful. It has such nice lighting.
Yeah. Is this Gillette Castle in Connecticut? Connecticut has the worst castle if you haven't visited. It looks okay from a distance, but if you start to get up close, you're like, oh, is that like...
It looks like one of those drip castles you make at the beach when you're a kid. You're just like...
Is that foam? Okay. Is that a sunset? I guess that's just artificial light, right? But it almost looks like a sunset because they got the color so nice.
Yeah, I like what I like about it is the color contrast, this orange against the greens. And I think you could go in and even exaggerate that a little bit if you wanted to. By putting the greens up a little bit and brightening them. And then I also like that you got an angle so that you have this leading line of the bridge and then you have the hill in the background, but not behind the castle. So there's some really nice subject separation.
This might be a good shot for a tripod and a long exposure.
Gosh.
Because they're at ISO 12,000 and the water is kind of frozen. It might be nice to get that as slow as you possibly could. I would bet you could have at least shot this at 1/5 of a second because you have an image stabilized lens. And that'll let you get that ISO way down and just give you a cleaner image. Something to think about. Check out the rule of doubles. Put that into YouTube and you'll find it.
I would have just brightened this line a little bit too, since that's kind of an important part of the composition.
Good suggestion.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. We have a lot of great photos to go through. I got to peek at a lot of them and whoo, you guys nailed this one. Look at this. Oh.
Yeah, Daniel, this is...
Awakening.
Gorgeous. Wow. I love to kind of zoom in and check out the details. So pretty.
We're fighting right now.
Sorry, it's all you.
I kind of wanted to just take the whites and see what it's like if I bump those up. And it's up to your style, but I kind of like when the whites are just a little bit brighter because the one on the left to me looks a little bit flat. What do you think, Tone?
Yeah, I'll agree.
Thank you. Thank you for that. But I'm going to give you a pick. That's beautiful. I love the colors too. So soft.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, my good old friend Jim, Jimmer Jammer, as we call him. I like the depth by putting this foreground here, but I think that the main part of the picture are these mountains and they're lacking a bit of contrast. Maybe you could
that dehaze slider would help.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but then it cranks up the blues too much.
Yeah. Well.
Maybe texture would work. Oh, there you go. Just warm it up a little. Yeah, that's really nice.
That's beautiful.
Awesome work. You and Jim are a good team. Jim does the part where he has to go out into the mountains.
Yeah, I mean, he does the 90% of the work, and then I come in and
you do the important.
But I hijack the glory.
Yeah.
As well. The Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta sounds like a good time. I think what you were going for was kind of this reflection here. Really nice. I like the bright colors, but I wish that this were breaking the horizon line more because the background is so distracting. What do you think?
Yeah, Dwayne, tell your hot air balloon operator to
pull the
drop
string.
the balloon by about 50 feet so you can
He can wait
change
around.
your composition.
Whoa.
What you can do is just lean way out of the basket.
Yeah.
Don't do that. That'd be good for adventure photography.
Yeah, next week's theme is adventure. So Rundle Mountain. This is gorgeous and dramatic. Wow. I love this.
This is all about the long exposure. That made it a little bit more mysterious. It added a hit of mood to it. This is like a minute and a half long exposure. So either this must have been taken with an ND filter. Awesome shot.
Beautiful. Storms Over the Serengeti by Mark. I like that you not only got this tree in the foreground, but you put these other two trees in the background, in between, on either side rather, and you're not getting any overlapping. You have good subject separation, and that's really nice. And I think that you could even bring the exposure up a little bit, or the contrast up a little bit.
Mark, you're at ISO 400 and 1/8,000ths of a second. Let's definitely get that D810 down to its native ISO 64 or even ISO 32, because you don't need such a fast shutter speed.
Snowy Peak Czech Rep.
Wow, that is a really interesting place. Oh, I see. It's like a ski resort.
That is so odd. It's this like bump of a mountain coming out of nowhere.
Yeah.
With a ski resort on top.
Definitely interesting. I think monochromatic is a good way to shoot this.
I think I'd just bump up the contrast even more. But that's me. Uh-oh. Look what I've gone and done.
Okay.
Dusk
Our first
and
aurora
Swedish
shot.
Lapland. Ooh, I love the aurora. Now what's happening here? What happened here? 1.3 seconds. We got some... Did the camera just move? Is that what happened?
I'm not sure. I would bet it looks like it might be focused on the stars, because the stars seem pretty sharp. And I would bet that they were using like a Rokinon lens or something that didn't transfer the metadata, so we don't know their settings. But what you're seeing is that there is stuff in the foreground and it's not sharp, and that's giving us a sense that the whole thing is unsharp, even though that's not true. I would say, first I would have said I would plan a different foreground here, because some of these trees are kind of scraggly, and you probably want to do that before it's 2 a.m. and well below freezing. Plan that kind of out in the day and find yourself a nice spot and then go there and visit it. The aurora is absolutely gorgeous, but maybe work that foreground a little bit more.
I think a cheat might be let's just get a lot of that foreground out of there.
Yeah, that helps.
Because it's not beautifying the situation, but this is a beautiful photo. Let's just cruise. Okay. Don't send this picture to this person's mom. That's frightening. Wow.
This is fantastic, right? It almost reminds me of the shots that Erland gets up in Norway with that focal point of the person. This would be beautiful in a really big print. It's almost like an Instagram style shot with that person as the focal point, but it wouldn't work that great in Instagram because the person's kind of so small in it, and Instagram's a really small format. But absolutely amazing moment. I love how the haze adds so much depth to it. I wonder if cropping it in might even help, because do we really need that big rock on the left?
I kind of like it. I love the texture of it, but yeah, it's an amazing photo. I'm giving it a pick. I just made the colors a little bit richer if you look at the before and after. But I'm a fan. I'm a fan of this.
Get the airplane trail out of there, maybe?
Andrew. Ooh.
Beautiful shot of the Milky Way.
Really beautiful. Wow, that is just so nice. I think I would possibly just play with the colors a little bit more.
I might also clone out that tree in the upper left corner, because it's just kind of jutting into the frame. This is what you get at like 14 millimeters, and that's kind of what I like to shoot the Milky Way at too. I have the Sigma 14 millimeter f1.8 lens, which lets me just gather a little bit more light. It makes the images just be a little bit cleaner.
Okay. Really beautiful.
Great shot, Andrew.
Reflection. Hi, Jim. I always love seeing your name here in your photos. I love the reflections.
Yeah, this is gorgeous.
I love the dramatic sky, high contrast. It's a beautiful photo. I like the editing.
Yeah, good work. Good contrast. I'm going to give Jim a pick.
Sunflowers. I've been seeing a lot of sunflower shots. I wish there were one standout flower as a focal point, but it's still very beautiful.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like really push in.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm going through my presets again. Because I think you could bump it up.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to try to get that ISO down to the base ISO. 1/100th of a second. Like you can definitely handhold much slower than that.
Okay.
Rule of doubles.
Ooh. This is so dramatic and beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
That haze, right? The haze can be so important in showing depth, especially when you have mountains kind of coming into the foreground. You don't want a shot of just mountains and haze, but now we can see down the valley and we get a real sense for it. Oh, I love making it a little bit warmer. Good edit there. Great shot, Thomas.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. Another aurora shot. Very beautiful. I'm jealous. I've always wanted to see these in person.
But it's cold. Should we raise the shadows on that, or
Been there. Wait, let's go back. I don't know. I kind of like that look. Want to peek?
Yeah, let's just peek.
Ooh, it's kind of nice
I
down
like
there.
that. Yeah, I think maybe even just a graduated filter just to bring in some of the texture from the trees.
So if we...
But this is definitely a print that you could sell. It's beautiful. Nice work. And I might, now that we've raised those shadows a little bit, I like that. But there are some like trees that are laying down that I think I would clone out if you don't feel like that's cheating.
Let's see. Oh, I don't mind them. Oh, I don't mind at all. This is gorgeous pick.
Yeah.
Okay, he got a double rainbow while he was there. But
Yeah,
look at
that's
this.
amazing.
Get rid of that.
Oh, there are so many photographers at this spot. I can't believe there aren't even more there. We were just fighting with people. Like, it's full.
We literally got into a fist fight.
I think,
What?
well, I think this is an HDR shot. Like it might have been bracketed. Or maybe that's, but it's too low contrast. Like look at the histogram. Nothing's kind of touching the right or left sides. It's all in the middle. And I can tell this is sort of a deliberate processing on your part. But to me, it ends up looking flat. It has that like 5 years ago kind of HDR look. And so I would want to, adjust the black and white points, maybe even bring up the contrast a little bit, maybe even back off the texture a little bit because there's a whole lot of it. The waterfalls at 2 seconds, they have this kind of rough texture to them. Like they're not frozen showing action and they're not completely dreamy and smooth. And so what you might do is try to get like a 10-second exposure or something. And I see you're at f22 already, but you could take 5 shots and then use image averaging to sort of stack them into 1 10 seconds a shot. And that would give you that smooth look. We have videos on that. But beautiful shot, amazing spot, right? And that rainbow is what really makes it. Good timing. Nicely done.
This photo is so beautiful. This is one that I just want to play with. You know?
Oh, you know what? When you switch to that, you revealed some haloing around the mountain.
Really?
Under the, oh, that shows it too. See that?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But I didn't notice it in the color version.
Pick. Wow.
The mist here, right? And these dreamy colors.
The heck?
This is like a Thomas Kincaid painting. That's amazing,
This is
Tanmay.
so beautiful. Where is this? Pick.
Oh, a 30-second shot. So that's kind of what gave us that cool look of the mist. I would not hesitate to go in and take out those signs.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Very well done. Chris, do we have any questions or comments from the peeps? By the way, Chris is here fielding your questions and comments. So say hi, be kind, and ask him if you have a question. What's up, Chris?
I assume you have, you're looking for a question from me. So I do have a bunch of questions.
Can you not hear us?
He's seeing us on a 30-second delay
First
for some
one,
reason.
what would your dream location, both Tony and Chelsea, what would your dream location that you've never visited before to shoot landscape?
We were just talking about
The
this.
Faroe Islands.
gonna say
I'd
the
like to
Faroe
go to the Azores.
I want to go to Vietnam and New Zealand.
Yeah.
Did you ask for just one? Because we have a long list. I want to go through the Canadian Rockies and Newfoundland.
Okay. I guess we'll go to this since he won't know what we want
Correct.
for another 30 seconds. Okay, this is gorgeous. I love the contrast. I love this bridge here, the composition, the natural framing. Like, pick. This is an incredible print. This is
Yeah,
looks like
I stopped
fine
and
art.
gave that a pick right away. Once again, watch that ISO. Shoot at that base ISO. Okay, horseshoe bend. I have not been there, but I know it because it is such a popular spot. But I think this is kind of the like iconic shot of it, right? I want to drop the black point, just get a little bit of contrast in there.
I want to warm it up.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Great shot, Dwayne.
This is pretty. You have this rock in the foreground, and then at first glance, I thought this was a skyline.
Yeah.
It is not. But yeah.
Here's my suggestion. Frederick has maybe like 3 kind of focal points here where my eyes go, the rock, this tree, and these grasses. And you're at 28 on a 28 to 70. I'm going to suggest you just pull in tighter and pick a single focal point. Just try to simplify it a little bit. And this might not be the best composition, but just so you can kind of get a sense for what I'm going for. And then, of course, level it in post if it needs to be. I'm not sure. It's a little off level.
Tom Greer, Mighty Mac. So this is a bridge photo. I like elements of the composition. The highlights are very blown out, so you can see here that you're losing all detail. What are you shooting at? Half a second at 5.6.
Yeah, I almost wonder if Tom was hand holding this
Oh,
because he's shooting at ISO 6400. But, you know, this is the kind of situation where you definitely want a tripod and you want to be shooting at a low ISO just so it can be nice and clean. That noise is really kind of evident here. And I would also look for something to put in the foreground. You know, the whole bottom half of the picture is just water without too much going on. So try to use that space a little more effectively.
yeah, go back.
But it's an interesting focal point. And yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
definitely
just keep
cool.
revisiting it. Get the best shot in the world of that one spot if you have access to it.
Santa Ana Mountains by Sean. This is interesting. You have these elements in the foreground that most people would eliminate, so I feel like you're making some kind of statement here. I might still go for more contrast, a little more contrast. Yeah, interesting shot.
I think I'm going to import some live photos.
Okay.
Justin, if you can like message Chris or something and tell him we're ready for.
Chris, do you have
A
a question? Ooh, do you see that? Ooh, there's so many good ones.
Oh, which one did you want to see?
I liked that.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful.
That's beautiful. I love the colors. And this one definitely caught my eye. Look at that. And
Yeah.
there are people in it.
Good
I
job.
like people in landscapes. Is that controversial? Is that a no-no?
I feel like it's a very like late 20-teens, like 2018, 2019, that's become a thing. But I also like it. I think it's just like an important focal point. It makes you feel like you're more part of it.
Yeah, it makes me feel like I'm there for some reason. Wow, so many good shots. Look at this. Woo. I like that the lightning and the fence are the same color. That's so beautiful to me.
Yeah, I wish we could see the bottom of the fence though, because it's kind of like cut off halfway. It feels a little bit awkward. But
It's
if you're going to show that
cool.
fence, like
Give you a
go
pick.
for it. Make it part of the picture. Awesome shot.
Okay.
We're just kind of skipping through
Yeah, we're
looking
gonna
at
just
a few of the
ooh,
best shots before we re-import from people who sent
Kathy.
in during the live show.
Beautiful. I like that you had this tree in the foreground. It gave it some depth. The reflection's beautiful. Really nice.
Gorgeous shot.
Ooh. Okay. You know how
That's
to
really
get
cute.
us. Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
Beautiful. Very different.
Yeah,
You
I'm gonna
usually
give this one a
see,
pick.
blue skies, and I like that this is stormy and dark and mysterious. Chris, what do you got
Okay.
for us? Okay.
I've got some questions for you.
Okay. I wish I could.
Tony,
help you.
specifically for
Thank
in Lightroom, especially when you're editing landscape, have you found a better use for clarity or for the clarity and the other slider, the clarity
and texture
the new
sliders?
slider that seems to replace it? Have you found one better than the other?
I have been just using the texture slider now. It almost seems like texture is an upgraded version of clarity because it's just a little bit more intelligent about which parts of the picture that it enhances. I think the challenge with the folks at Lightroom is they cannot simply update the behavior of the clarity slider, because then everybody's pictures that they had already processed would now have some slightly different look. So maybe they wanted to upgrade it with something smarter, but now they have to call it something new, and they can't just get rid of the old feature because people know it and love it. So it's almost like we have vibrance and saturation. And vibrance is just an upgraded version of saturation. If you crank up saturation, it will ruin the colors, whereas vibrance is much smarter about it, but they can't get rid of saturation. You're just like saddled with these like legacy controls. And I think that's the same situation with texture and clarity. That's my take. This is a gorgeous shot, right? Oh my
Yeah,
goodness,
it's so
Lucas.
beautiful. I
Awesome.
added a preset just to add a tiny bit of
I've got another
color.
question if you want one.
Yeah.
Go for
A
it.
point and shoot camera you feel is good enough to be a primary camera for someone that needs something ultra portable. Maybe not necessarily the minute, tiny little sensor, but a 1-inch sensor or something that'll give you a very good raw image.
That's something I've been pondering lately, because we've borrowed the Sony RX100 Mark VII,
Yeah.
I think, and it's a good camera. I mean, is it good enough? It's hard to say. It might be good enough for some people. Other people are definitely going to be frustrated with it. I'll say my smartphone is good enough for an awful lot of things that I shoot, to the point where I don't feel like I need something to bridge the gap between my smartphone and a big camera. But if like I just didn't want to bring a big camera, something like the RX100 with a more powerful zoom lens, something that my smartphone can't match right now, I would definitely pocket that. It's good enough for some people, I guess, is the answer.
This photo is beautiful.
Yeah, gorgeous shot, Jose.
Okay. What's this one? Oh, we went there, but not in the winter. I like this. Your processing is really interesting, and I like it. It's kind of dark and moody.
Mm-hmm.
Oops, what happened?
Get your scroll wheel.
My scroll wheel. I think I just bump up the whites a little bit. But yeah, that's a gorgeous shot. Good composition. I know you were on that bridge. Sure it wasn't too crowded that time of year. All right, what else do we have here?
Oh,
my
what about that
goodness.
tree? Yeah. Wow, this is a
Wow.
fairy tale.
Jason
Amazing
Fry.
shot, Jason. I want to give you a pick.
Really nice composition, and I like that you're using a wide angle lens, because it feels like that tree limb is kind of stretching towards you, and it feels distorted like a haunted forest or something. You could even kind of edit it for that look if you want a creepy vibe. I like it.
Yeah, that's one of the best wood shots I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's really
That's
cute.
fantastic. Great shot. I'm just going to jump back to the grid view. Even our computer is slowing down. Everything is slowing
Yeah,
down.
everything's being a little bit strange today. And you know what, Tony? I was slowing down today too. I had to have an extra coffee.
Yeah, could we give one to our video conferencing software?
I could, but I don't think you'd actually like what would happen if I did that. Look at this man and his dog. His dog's in a raincoat.
Where's that?
I like the composition on this, but there's something strange about, oh, it's just a very small photo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's cool. I wouldn't be afraid to, I mean, assuming you know those people, but don't be afraid to pose them with the dog like lined up in a pleasant way.
That's really a beautiful spot.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel that landscapey to me. Like too many people. I think you took it 1, 2 people. Okay. All people? Maybe it's pushing it. Wow. They got there during good light, huh?
That color seems intense.
Yeah. I mean, they took something already bright and they took it all the way.
Yeah.
So maybe I just dial it back a little bit, but the color contrast is beautiful. The orange with the blue sky and the mountains in the background. Really nice, Mike.
It looks like maybe some smudges on the lens or something.
Oh, I know all about smudges and hairs on maybe the lens. Mostly my sensor has dust on it constantly.
This sure does feel like Texas. Oh, film scan. Yeah, that makes sense. I like this shot. It's simple, but it's pretty, and to me, it really captures what, especially West Texas, feels like. Though certainly there were parts of Pfluger where I was growing up that looked exactly like that.
Wow. Ninh
Yeah.
We should go here.
Yeah, that's Vietnam, right?
I think this might be a part of China, but maybe you know, Justin?
No, it does look like China though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry.
Yeah, I love the boats going through here, and we've
No,
shot
you're right. It's Vietnam.
a few of these, and it can be key to wait for the boats to be in pleasing places. And something you might think about is that boat that's just entering the frame at the bottom. I find that to be a distraction. I think one boat would be the perfect number here. So you could wait around until one boat is in just the perfect part of the river. You could try to clone them out, maybe stack multiple pictures so that you isolate it and just simplify it just a little bit, because this is like worthy of a really big print. Awesome shot.
It's beautiful. Nice. Let's go back to the main grid and poke around a little bit. Chris, do you have any questions? When this finally gets to you in the future, will you do 2?
Okay, got a question for you. Are there landscape photographers in danger of actually damaging or changing the landscapes they're there to photograph? I know I've seen some news articles about that kind of thing.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes people get so obsessed with getting a picture to share with everyone that they forget that a part of appreciating the landscape and the beauty and nature is respecting it. And one of our friends is a park ranger, and she's very passionate about this, and I respect Stephanie so much for this. You don't want to bring anything in. Obviously, don't bring trash, but you don't want to alter the landscape either. So don't be stomping on flowers. Actually, the little rock cairns, the little towers people make, that's actually a no-no. You shouldn't be altering the landscape. You should be leaving it. Don't touch things. Don't break branches for your photos. Don't trample things. Don't go to the bathroom and leave it. That's become a big problem. Like places, more and more people are going there to take pictures, and then people are actually pooping and leaving it. And when hundreds of people do it, it becomes a problem. So generally the rule is leave no trace of yourself, just footprints.
Yeah, we talked to our fellow YouTuber Nick, and he said the Faroe Islands are like close to being wrecked because they've suddenly become a popular tourist attraction, and people are being really insensitive about it. I like that so many people want to see the world and they want to travel, but yeah, there has to be some more responsibility that goes along with it.
I like that too, but I think people are really selfish, myself included, and you can make it all about you and your picture, but there's something, you have to just be responsible and respectful.
You have another question, Chris?
Okay, here's a good one. Tony, in regards to your megapixel video the other day, would you consider adding the whole concept of viewing distance to your experiment with high megapixel prints? And in viewing at a certain distance, can you see that resolution at a distance that like a billboard is really low resolution, but at the viewing distance, it looks very detailed?
Yeah, I'm glad somebody brought that up, because a lot of people brought it up, and I did bring it up in the video. I specifically showed low resolution billboards that we had shot and said, these look fine because you're viewing them from your car. The reason I felt totally fine having people look at the pictures up close is I've been to so many photo galleries, and what I always see is if you have a really big print, people walk into the room, they look at it, and then inevitably they walk up to it and inspect it more closely. And you kind of want your picture to look good when somebody does walk up to it. So I am interested in viewing distance, but at the same time, I don't know where to draw the line. Like, it's not like an 80-inch print is only viewed from 10 feet away. There's just, I haven't seen any truth to that. People definitely walk up closely to these things. You can certainly print any size, any megapixel image, any size you want, and it will look better from a distance.
Every single art gallery that I've been to with photography, I've gotten about 1 inch away from the photo.
Yeah, everybody
and I know
does.
I'm not the only one, because they put on certain paintings and things, they put a rope and tell you not to go past it because everybody gets so close. You want to, first you view it from far back, and then you get as close as you can to it. That's kind of the normal interaction with art.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I wanted to test, but it doesn't mean you can't print anything. If somebody can't walk up to the minimum distance and be pleased with the details, you can still do that. People do it all the time, but they'll notice a difference. They will notice it.
In fact, even in our house, we have this arrangement of 6 photos. And when people come to our house for the first time, every single person, they walk up and they get close to every single picture. And it's over our couch. They'll lean over the couch to look at every single picture up close. I think it's just natural.
Yeah. Well, what do you think, Chris? Is that your take? Chris
We'll know
is on
one
a
day.
delay.
At least now we know how long the delay is. And now we can't hear him. And he'll never know. You going to just show that, Justin? All right, let's
I
go
guess
to the
I'll
next
keep
picture.
looking at pictures. I just thought it was another take on this same spot, but slightly different.
I'm sorry, Chris.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
frustrating.
here we go. Sorry about that. What for landscapes, specifically for landscapes, what filters are still worth having in your bag compared to what you can do in post-processing?
Neutral density filter.
Yeah. Everything else I would do in post. We do have developed tricks. If you look at our video, you probably don't need polarizing filters, ND filters, etc. We have some good tricks that I've developed because I never remembered to bring an ND filter, or it's the wrong size, or something goes wrong, or I don't have my tripod. So there are ways to get around it. But if you want to make a 10-second exposure, those techniques get to be a little bit cumbersome. So we will still bust out the ND filter, but we don't use anything else. No polarizing filters, no UV filters.
Yeah, I don't think it means that that's like
Grad-
wrong or anything if that's what you want to use, but I haven't had a need for them.
Yeah, grad ND filters, I would just bracket my shots and combine them in Lightroom and then do an ND, a graduated ND in post, which is basically what Chelsea is doing right now. So just an ND filter, but a thick one. I like to have like...
You like them thick.
The 8 stops, the like 1000X, like the 3-stop ones aren't enough for me. You know, if I want to do an ND filter, I want it to be, I want like a 5-second exposure, not...
Yeah. Diego, I just added some color contrast, so it almost looked like a black and white picture with this blue on the bottom, which is kind of cool. I just added a little bit of a contrasting color to bring out the blue even more. I love what you did. That's so cool how you put this on the bottom. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. Just simple layers, no distractions. This is gorgeous art. I'm going to give you a pick. This would also make a great print. Can you imagine if this was printed on, well, like acrylic or glass? Oh, I like a little bit of color in there. Yeah, but please, but I don't want to raise the white point and just make those whites like a nice bright white, especially if you were printing. Yeah. And yeah, please print this on acrylic. It would be a gorgeous wall decoration.
A wall decoration.
Wall art.
Wall art. Craig, we talked about this. No, we really didn't. I'm just joking.
What did Craig do?
Nothing. I wanted to make Craig be like, what did we talk about? But we didn't. I like this leading line to the tree. That's very beautiful. I think you could have even used a higher aperture to get a full sunburst, possibly. But, you know.
Watch the haloing in your post-processing. You want to use like a graduated filter in Lightroom instead of just dropping the blues.
You can also.
If you look around the tree, you see the haloing.
This is interesting. The one thing with super wide angle lenses, one of the problems I have is that you end up with a lot of foreground that you don't necessarily want. And I can see that this more interesting part might be over here. But then you get a telephoto lens and it's not wide enough. And I found that just taking a panorama with a more telephoto lens can give you like maybe a more wide angle look without all of the distortion.
I was actually thinking this might be a panorama.
You might be a panorama. This is nice. Not really landscape, but it's beautiful. Wow, this is gorgeous. I love the drama and the contrast. Pick.
Awesome shot, Mike.
We had so many good photos today.
Yeah, This has been a journey.
This has been a good journey. Okay.
Are you trying to go back to the grid?
Yeah.
I hear you double clicking.
Yeah, me too. Beautiful colors.
Yeah, this would be a good shot for an ND filter.
Yeah. Okay. I think we got through our second round.
Okay.
You want to import again?
Sure. Yeah.
We'll
if you
do a
want to keep
couple
going.
more.
Okay.
Chris, do you have another question for us when this gets to you? Question?
Yes. Yeah, we've got a question here for you. The SDP book doesn't include a chapter on action photography. Why and what resources would you recommend, or would you include one in the next revision? And a second question while we're at it, and this we talked about previously, what would be the megapixel of film in comparison to digital?
I'm currently writing a sports chapter for SDP. The reason it hasn't been there in the past is, though we shoot sports all the time, it's really difficult to get images that I can use in the book, because any real world sports shot is going to have like audience and people I don't have model releases for. So you kind of have to set everything up, but I think we have a decent set of shots I can use now. So that should be coming soon. The resolution of film versus digital cameras is something I'm curious about. And in fact, I have some shots that I've taken that I just haven't gotten developed yet. I have to ship them off to the darkroom.
I would also like to add that our book, Stunning Digital Photography, comes with free updates for life, which was a decision I now regret, but that's good for you because if you can get the book now for 30% off, and when we do the update and you get the sports chapter, you'll get it at a discounted price.
Yeah. I know.
So think about it. So go to our store. This is gorgeous.
Julian. Yeah, this is a really nice spot.
Julian.
I love that you can kind of see through the water, but that water still has kind of a natural reflection on the surface of it. Very pretty, Julian.
How do you feel about the free updates for life at this point?
We're definitely walking away from some money, but
I don't think it was a mistake.
I think I know some people like it.
Whew. Whoa.
I'll have to die to get out of it, I think.
Yeah, you do have to die to get out of it.
I could have been free updates until I retire or something.
No, I think that it should be for life of your career. No, you're really gonna, what are you gonna be, like 80 years old? And I'm like, Tony, let's play pickleball. And you're like, I'm working on this update. Get off me, woman.
People want it. This is a really cool shot, and I know you had a crazy amount of dynamic range to deal with in this shot, and I think the challenge there is it can end up coming across a little artificial. Like, I actually want the sky to be substantially brighter, and I know you pulled it way, way down because you were probably in deep, deep shadows, but just to make it look a little bit more natural, I think we need to restore some of that contrast.
Like that?
Yeah, already that looks much better. Yeah. Great shot, Russell. I'll give you a pick.
Good job,
Found a
Russell.
really cool spot. Did some natural framing.
Ooh, this is pretty.
Yeah.
I would add some
real
contrast.
Stretch to call that a landscape, but it is a very nice spot.
True. Woohoo. Also pretty. Look, someone did the rock thing. Shame on you, rock person.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Maybe we should do rock thing shaming.
Yeah, probably so. It would make the world a better place and
Yeah.
make us feel better about ourselves.
I'll feel
So
superior.
win-win. Andy, this is a great spot, but I think you can do better. I think if you come back at a different time of day, maybe when there's a little bit of fog or at sunrise or sunset, consider doing a long exposure. Maybe shooting it at night where you can get the stars in there, maybe star trails. Come back to the spot. It's really pretty. Keep shooting it.
This is a great composition.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to dehaze a little.
Yeah. The
And
processing has lost too much of the natural contrast, I think.
Yeah.
You're actually, I think, just backing off some of Benny's edits, which we totally get how editing can take you too far.
I go too far with editing all of the time because you're there and you're making these small incremental changes, and before you know it, things are out of control.
But it's very pretty. I really like the grasses in the foreground here. The one thing I might be aware of is the reflection of that leftmost mountain peak is kind of cutting into the grasses. So you might just be aware of those shapes and try to make sure that the subjects don't intersect each other. You could have just shifted like a tiny bit to the right and it probably would have resolved it, or gone up an inch or two.
Okay. Very nice. Oh, I've never seen one quite like this before. It almost looks like they're looking at a window or something.
Yeah, it's like they're in a movie theater.
Wow.
Cool shot, Connor.
That's very interesting. I kind of like it in black and white.
Yeah, I like that too.
I also like it in color. This is so cool. I'm giving you a pick. Very unique. What is in focus here? Let's see.
Oh, this is shot at 600 millimeters. I was trying to figure out, because it's almost like miniaturized. The depth of the field is so shallow.
Yeah, and you're shooting through a lot of moisture, I think, because everything's getting distorted. It is in focus. It's got a lot of atmosphere there. Good composition. Susan, I like your panorama. I would leave a little more room here above this hill. But it looks nice. Let's brighten it up. Let's go for it.
Yeah, and if you could find a way to get in front of those tree branches, I know it's often not possible, but that would be just a little cleaner.
Anything's possible for Susan.
Also, a little bit
Susan
of
again?
room at the top of the hill here. See how this is kind
Susan?
of clipping?
That's what I said, Tony.
Oh, you just said, I'm sorry. I was thinking about something.
Jeez, Tony, what were you
Sorry.
thinking about?
I was something about the picture.
Susan, another great Susan original. Love it. Oh, we're going to keep
Susan.
going. All right, Susan, you know what? Today's
One
your
picture,
day.
Susan.
We have a one picture rule, but is this a bristle comb?
Okay, well, this is my favorite of your pictures, Susan.
Susan. She's a rebel. Oh, there's a little man over here, Susan.
Oh,
Get him
get
out.
that guy out.
Push him.
Don't push him. A lot of Chelsea's advice is bad and even dangerous.
Whatever. Okay. I like that you did the long exposure. 1 second. Not long enough for Tony. He's judged me for doing a 1 second exposure.
Yeah, you
on a
got to get up
waterfall.
there like north of 5 seconds.
We have a
Just-
very boring waterfall debate, which is I think 1 second is fine.
No, you're completely wrong. Take 10 pictures, average them in post if you don't have an ND filter. Or if you do, it's easy.
You know what, Tony? You should look at my waterfall pictures. You might learn a thing or two.
Wow.
I love this leading line in this photo. Another moody, stormy picture. I'm feeling it. You guys, this is great.
Yeah, it is all about the weather conditions for landscapes. You can't just show up and get an amazing composition. You need the right lighting, the right weather conditions, and you're not going to get that with one visit. You have to visit over and over and over again.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah, Daniel didn't just show up and happen to get that. Daniel was watching the weather. He made a plan. He got there. He waited a long time.
You don't know Daniel.
Awesome shot, Daniel.
I'm just going to bring
Beautiful colors.
I'm going to bring up the white point, and then it's a little more pow. Pow. A little more pa-chow. Okay. So many good photos. It's hard to end this one.
Yeah.
Let's take a few more questions. Ooh, look at that natural framing. Chris, you have a question for me, Chris? Chris? Hello? Ooh. Whoa.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
I'm just peeking around now.
Yeah, I love the processing and the toning.
This
here.
is the parrot and naffy.
Oh, okay. An aerial shot.
Pick.
Nice.
Gorgeous. Look at this one. Ooh.
Okay, I've got
Okay.
a good question here from Greg H.
Pick.
from Canada. He gave $30
Wow.
for a question
Thanks, Greg.
here, and
Thank
it's
you.
basically what we talked about before, that comparison of that style of Leica photography and comparing that to both Leica digital and Leica film. But the whole idea of Leica style, is that something that you really want to work on?
Leica style?
I'm interested in it. I kind of wish it's a video somebody else would make. Like, what I want it to be is a blind test. Is there a Leica look, and can Leica fans pick it out? I feel like the answer might infuriate Leica owners, and I might end up with like people standing outside my house with like pickets and stuff.
And if they have a Leica, they're wealthy enough to do it. They will buy a plane ticket and then they will stab you.
But I am definitely interested in investigating that. I'm just right now I think is not the right time for me, but I would love for somebody to do it.
Maybe when you want to retire and you don't want to do those free updates anymore, you just let the Leica people tear us down.
Yeah.
And then we say, we can't. They killed us. Okay, this is simple, but I like this picture.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Wow.
Oh, this is gorgeous. Oh my God. Is there a little thing on top of the mountain?
Yes. Very beautiful. Wow.
Can you zoom in?
No, I can't. I can only zoom out, but I can.
Gorgeous shot.
I can make those whites like pop. I can't stop. Everyone's photos are beautiful. Whoa.
Oh, I'm surprised it's the first Star Trail shot we've seen. Nice, Emil.
We did it. We did it. So
Let's
everyone,
get out of
thank
here.
you. Remember, 30% off at our store if you use the coupon code LEARN30. The link is in the description below. And that sale is going to be going until the day after Labor Day. So that's September 3rd. So you have a little bit of time. Right?
That sounds right to me.
Oh, next week is adventure photography. So go on an adventure and get a picture. That's an order. You have to have an adventure. We'll see you next week. Thank you, Chris. I'm sorry about the things that happened to you today. That seemed frustrating. And thank you, Justin.
Okay, last question here.
Okay.
Sometimes you're at a great site during midday sun. Any suggestions how to make the best use of that situation with that kind of light?
The best I can suggest is like zooming in close and capturing details, things like flowers or maybe shooting abstract. But I find that wide shots just will never turn out good. Or just do location scouting, like find good places that you want to visit later.
Okay. All right. We'll see you all next time.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris.
Bye, guys. Thanks, Chris.
That is all.